Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. I can't help laughing every time I say that. I'm like, what am I doing up on a Sunday morning at 3 a.m.? If you watch my channel, you know this is a regular thing. Anyway, all right. I'm going to kind of go by the seat of my pants here. I'm just going to kind of do a free-flowing video this morning. There's two stories I want to talk about, and I'm just going to kind of come from the heart on how I feel about both these stories, and we'll see where the chips fall. We'll throw it at the wall and see what sticks. We'll fly it up the flagpole and see who salutes. All right, enough of this. All right, the two stories are going to be right down below in the links in the video description as usual. If you want to read both these stories, they're very short. They're both from TMZ. Well, they're from a few different sources. The first one is about Donald Trump showing up at the UFC 302, and him being cheered. Joe Rogan says the cheers for Donald Trump was just astounding, amazing. And this does not surprise me in the least. I don't want to go on about beta males, but I'm going to talk about that for a little short period. The second thing I want to talk about, the second article down below that I want to talk about, is Ice-T talking about Lenny Kravitz. Now, Lenny Kravitz has said he's been celibate for 9 years. He's on a spiritual journey. And I can understand that because I was celibate for 7 years. No girlfriend, no nothing. And this was by choice when I first got clean and sober. Right now, I have been celibate. I haven't even been counting since before Audrey passed away. You know, I don't want to, I'm a decent looking guy. I'm in good shape. I talk to women. I flirt and everything. I have no doubt that I could hook up easily within the next day. I could hook up if I wanted to, but I'll talk about that more in a second. All right, let's get to Donald Trump first and my whole theory on this. This does not surprise me in the least. I didn't want to do a whole video talking about beta males again. I've talked about the UFC and Donald Trump before, and it doesn't surprise me in the least. This is not bragging. I've talked about this before. I do not like watching the UFC. The pure violence and the blood and the way. I like boxing. I like boxing because the gloves are thicker and it's more of a sport. It's more of like a chess match kind of thing. And the UFC is just raw blood, violence. It's violent. To me, it's violence for the sake of violence. And the reason I don't like watching it, I've talked about this before, and I'm, like I said, if you think I'm bragging about this, you haven't been watching my channel for long. The life I used to live before, I've been clean and sober since October 23rd of 2006, and like I've told you guys, I used to hang out at bars. I was using hard drugs every day. The hardest of drugs. I'm not going to mention them here because I don't want problems with the monetization, but the hardest of hard drugs, and I was dealing, and I was in that whole world. And after the bars, I would go to what we call after hours clubs, and some of those were gang affiliated. The Almighty Latin King Nation, biker clubs were some of my favorites. Compadres, Diablos, Outlaws, HA, and on and on. And it was just, and being 6'3", I was in altercations. I either people coming up to me and just, I remember this one time at a bar. I was sitting there talking to my friends, minding my own business. I think I was playing pool, and this big dude comes up to me. And I'm 6'3", and this guy was about 6'5", and he comes right up to my face, and he says, "Can you read between the lines? Read this. Read between the lines." What? I didn't know what he was talking about. Out of the blue. Never saw this guy before in my life. That's the kind of thing I dealt with seriously on a weekly, daily basis in that world that I lived in. And there was a lot of violence. And I've said this before. Like on this channel, I never talk about winning a fight. I'm not going to say I do not feel good. I won plenty of fights, but I don't feel good sitting here talking about it. And I never felt good when I won a fight. A lot of times I felt better losing fights because a lot of times I felt like I gave it my all, and I went down and they actually had to knock me out to keep me down, and plus every time you lose a fight, you learn something. And I almost felt better. I almost felt more proud of losing fights than winning them. I never felt good leaving somebody on the ground. a bloody mess and walking away from that. I never felt good about that at all. And there's something else. If you've been in altercations like me, a lot of altercations in your life, well over 100. When you win a fight, this has followed me to this day. Fights that I was in 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago. I think about what I did to these people, how I damaged them, broken bones, stitches, other stuff. And I think about how they go home and they talk to their brothers, their uncles, their people in their family, their friends, the gangs they were in. And there's always this feeling that I have to look over my shoulder, because I remember the names of I remember the name of the guy that broke my nose back when I was 19 years old. This guy, Jakey Miller from Waterbury, Connecticut, broke my nose. I still remember him. And from time to time I look him up on Facebook. Where is he? What's he doing? And I still harbor a grudge against this guy. I'm not going to do anything or go after him or anything, but I remember his name, and I know people remember my name. I mean, when you carry this baggage with you, it's nothing to be proud of. Okay. So the people that go to these UFC fights, I really believe the vast majority of guys that go to these UFC fights are guys that want to be in the male hierarchy. Again, beta males. They want to be seen, they want to be seen as tough by other guys. They want to go back to the water cooler and say, "Oh, I was at the UFC fight, man. He must be a tough guy. He was at the UFC fight. He knows all about UFC." It's the way, and that's just bull. That's crap. It has nothing to do with the real world, with real life altercations and protecting yourself and going 1-on-1 with another guy, or 1-on-5 with another guy, or 1-on-7 with another guy like I've done before. It's not fun. It's nothing to brag about. It creates, what's it called? Where you're scarred, where the trauma sticks with you, and the anxiety that the people that you damaged are going to come back into your life. You're going to run into this. I'll see somebody in the supermarket that I broke their nose 18 years ago, and I won't recognize them. And the dude will come up to me, and I won't recognize him. And how am I going to protect myself? Is he going to come up behind me? I won't know who he is. This is this kind of stuff you live with, or at least that I live with. And I don't like this world of UFC. I believe that the guys that go to this just want to be seen. I believe the vast majority of them have never been in a single fight in their life. I believe that the vast majority of guys that go to the UFC fights and watch the UFC fights have never thrown a punch and hit somebody else in their life. Never actually hit another guy in the face in their life. I truly believe that. And if they are one of those guys and they still enjoy going to these UFC fights, they're not my kind of guy. It's something you have to do. It's not something that I wanted to do or I enjoy doing. And if you enjoy doing it and you like doing it, there's something wrong with you. You're just not you're not my type of normal guy. So it does not surprise me when Trump walks into this arena and he's cheered by a vast bunch of beta males, looking to be seen by other beta males in the hierarchy. I believe the women that go to this are kind of, I don't know, I guess to be nice, I'll call them old-fashioned women. I dated a lot of women that expected to be treated badly, and when I first started dating, I don't know, maybe when I was 18 or 19, I dated women that had been treated badly by their fathers, their brothers, and then later by the men they dated. And at first, I always believed that, once I never hit a woman, I treat women good. They're going to think I'm the knight in shining armor, that I'm coming to save them. They're going to love, I'm going to be their savior. They're going to love dating me because I'm going to treat them good. It's not how I worked out. It's not how I worked out at all. Almost every time, these women ended up going somewhere else because I don't know why, and I feel sorry, but a lot of times they expected to be treated like that. They associated being treated badly and being manhandled as being loved, and I couldn't do that. And I believe a lot of the women that go to these UFC fights are in that frame of mind, with this mentality of the dominant male, and that's just not me either. Okay, let's get on to Ice-T and talking about Lenny Kravitz being on the spiritual journey for 9 years. As I got older, I found that there's no such thing as just hooking up. Whenever you hook up, there's going to be a lot of baggage, emotional baggage that comes along with it. You could both the male, both me and the girl could agree that it's just a hookup, that it's just to release. But that's just, I found over my 58 years, that's just not how it is. Every time you hook up, you make a connection with somebody, and there's an emotional connection there, and it's going to carry on. It brings weight with it. It brings responsibility when you connect, when you're intimate with somebody. You can't, it's almost impossible to just hook up. That's my point. And like me, I get up every day and I make these YouTube videos and I work out for 4 hours. If I was in a relationship, I wouldn't be doing that. I'm the best man that I could be right now, and I'm holding out for my soulmate, for the absolute best woman for me. And when I find her, then I'll be in a relationship. Until then, I'm going to keep working on myself. And like I said, how many 58-year-old, I don't want to brag here, but how many 58-year-old guys are in this kind of shape? And I'm happy. I'm not settling. I'm not lonely. I'm not going to hook up just for the sake of hooking up. And I don't know if this is what Lenny Kravitz is talking about in his spiritual journey thing, but this is my theory on this. That until I find Audrey was my soulmate, and she passed away from COVID because of the whole MAGA thing. She believed in Donald Trump. She believed in the whole MAGA thing and the stuff about the jab and all that. And it ended up being the death of her. And she died from COVID because she didn't get the vaccination like I did. And until I find another soulmate, if and when I do, until then, I'm comfortable being alone. I think it makes me more of a top predator, a top alpha, or sigma, or whatever you want to call it. I'm being the best male I can be because I'm always on the hunt. I'm always keeping myself in top condition and top state of mind. Once you get in a relationship, you start snacking, you start watching movies, you don't get up as early, and you're really not in the best shape anymore. You flab out, you do. And I'm just not willing to go there yet. I like who I am right now. I like being a solo hunter right now. Still, I still enjoy it. And that's my theory on this. So Ice-T thinks that's BS, that Lenny Kravitz hasn't chose to be intimate in 9 years. And I think Ice-T's an idiot. I do. I think he's just he's putting on a show. It's another beta male thing. He's trying to be a man for the sake of other men. So how he looks to other guys. That's my take on it. All right, the links will be down below. I'll be back later with another video. I am making another video today. I want to talk about, I made a video about 6 months ago that I had gained 15 pounds around Christmas, and I've lost every pound of that. I'm down to 196. I've lost 20 pounds in the last 6 months, and I want to talk about that in the next video. All right, you guys have a good Sunday.